Hi there, this is Doris Benter from Library Arts, and I'm here to share with you a wonderful winter-themed polar bear drawing that I hope that you would like to do with me. It is a simple drawing with simple shapes. We're going to use color pencil, warm and cool colors, and all you need is a sheet of white paper, 8.5 by 11, a pencil, eraser, and marker to get started. If you have color pencils, that would be great too, but not necessarily needed. Okay, see you soon. Okay, let's get started with your polar bear drawing. You're going to need some simple supplies, a white sheet of paper that is vertical or in portrait orientation. Going to need a pencil and eraser. And if you want to, you can actually bring in a black marker afterwards. I will draw with a black marker so that you can see what I'm doing better, but I suggest you work with a pencil just to start. Our polar bear, the mother and the child, or cub, will take up a good portion of the paper, almost the whole sheet, but we'll have a little bit of room that we want to leave on the bottom and the top for the background. So let's get started near the top with the mother polar bear. And actually what I find that's very helpful, if you can find a cup to trace for the mother bear's face, you'll get a nice round shape without too much trouble. So I'm just using a big mug here. You could do something similar just to get that face in there, okay? Now, once you have the face, we're gonna add 2 ears, one here and one over here. We wanna make it look like the bear is slightly tilting her face. We're gonna make a very large U shape right here. That is going to be that's going to be the nose of the bear. We're going to put the nose on this kind of snout coming out, and you might want to put a couple dots for breathing, right? So it looks a little bit like a pig, but it's not going to stay that way. We're going to change it up. Here comes 2 little eyes. Here comes the inside of the ear. And look how much we've done already. We already got our polar bear face. Now we're going to start drawing the baby bear's face, and then we're going to build the body of the mother who's sort of snuggling the cub around that. So right below the bottom portion of the head, we're going to put our own shape this time without using the mug for the bear's face. We're going to leave a couple little areas here for the feet to come in. We'll bring 1 ear up here touching the face, 1 ear over here, and put some inner ear shapes again. We're gonna have a similar muzzle, but this is shorter because it's a baby. So we're gonna have this large round shape like this, and then inside of it, we'll put a small nose, same kind of eyes, little eye there, little eye there. So look how far we've gotten already with our picture. Now, next, I'm just gonna come down here for 1 leg. I'm gonna come down here so the 2 legs are touching. And now we're gonna build the mother around the baby. So notice how I left that area clear? That's because the mother's leg is gonna come right up next to the baby and around like that. And the mother's other leg is gonna come right up next to the baby and around like that. Now we're gonna draw the rest of the polar bear's leg here. It's nice and wide. And we're just gonna draw a line that goes right over to this leg. Now we should definitely put some claws on the polar bear, because they do definitely have those big claws. We'll put some smaller claws on the baby. Big ones over here. And now we're just gonna create a very simple background. So this is what we have. We have the legs, the baby, and it really is not that complicated to do this, right? So we're just gonna make some mountaintops. And the bear is overlapping the mountains that are in the distance. So yeah, we're just gonna put some mountaintops in here. We'll put one over here and maybe one more here. Add a few snow caps on top of the mountain, like so. And on I'm going to put a little sun, distant sun in the sky, and I will also put a line down here to suggest that the mountain, maybe they're standing on the ice. So we're just going to put a line there. Now that is your drawing. So in the next video, we're going to start talking about how to add color to what usually you would think would be a pure white scene, but we're going to add a lot of color to this animal to really make it look more realistic as a polar bear. Okay, see you in a minute. All right, so we're back. We're going to get started with coloring. So I'm using color pencils, and I just want to give you a range. I'm using a lot of different blues, turquoise or aqua blue, a purpley blue, a light blue. I have a little bit of a burgundy purple color, but also yellows. And believe it or not, polar bears have a lot of yellow in them. They're not really pure white, and that's what makes them stand out against the snow. I'm also giving a little gray and a little black. And then I might introduce more colors for the background, but for now, that's what I'm going to start with. And I'm actually going to just start by putting a super pale, and you see how lightly I'm moving my wrist, a super pale gray, just as a sort of a base color on top of my mother polar bear here. Keeping it very, very light. It's almost just to break up all that white, to soften it a little bit. Just like that. And I'll be doing that on the body too. Oops, looks like I forgot to draw the inner ear here. Get that in there. Okay, so let's go back. So now we need to introduce some of that yellow I was talking about, this pale yellow. And we're going to do some yellow around the eyes to really kind of bring out the eye shapes. And we're going to sort of treat these lines as if it's fur on the polar bear. So the lines are going to go outwards like that. And again, we're going to treat these lines going back and forth because again, we're just kind of giving a fur type quality to the polar bear. And then when you get down here, you're going to continue with that light yellow because this is a kind of a color that you want to put down lightly to suggest the yellow quality of the bear, but you don't want to get heavy-handed and then it looks like it's a totally different animal. You just want to kind of suggest it lightly by coming out like this and even down here like this. Again, just getting a start here. And a little bit more around here, like that. Now I also want to bring in this kind of yellowish green. I'm going to use that just a little bit. These seem like unusual colors, but believe me, they are colors that you actually might see in a polar bear. So I'm going around the edge here of the face. And then I'm going to bring in some of those blues. We're going to bring in some pale blues here on the nose. Really, really pale. Building on top of the gray that we put down earlier. And just come out here a little lightly. So again, we want the color to be light on our polar bear. We don't want too much darkness. We can actually put a little darker blue in the ear and give that more of a blue cast. Same thing with this one. A little bit darker. And then I'm going to actually bring in the blacks. I know you're dying to get those dark areas for contrast in. So we're going to bring in the black here. And we're going to use some black for the polar bear's nose. I might even leave a couple little white spots to suggest a kind of breathing holes for the bear. So that's getting started very nicely. And I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to add some more depth to the bear's face. Maybe coming out here. So it's just a slightly darker tone of that yellow that I was using before. And remember, these lines are going out towards the edge because we want them to mimic the texture of the bear's fur. And texture, I mean, is how something feels. You create lines that create the look of how the bear's fur feels. So that's what we're after here, is trying to create lines that suggest a furry bear. I'm going to go down here a little bit. And you can see again all that yellow. And you're like, well, what about the white? Well, we can bring some white in too. And we can actually blend it in here with the blue. Soften that blue a little bit. We could bring it over here underneath the mouth. You don't feel like you're seeing the white, but believe me, it's there. It's blending in and softening some of the colors that we've already put in. We'll put a little bit of that green over here too. So again, we're just building up color on our bear. I'll bring the aqua blue in here just a little bit. And that's a pretty good start. Now around the ears, we're going to add a little bit of that nice shadowy color because we want to emphasize a little darkness in the ear shape itself. Just a little bit of shadow. Okay, so let's move down. Now we're actually going to be bringing in more blues, less of the yellows, but let's start with the gray again on the body. Very light tone of gray. I'm not going to go into the baby yet. Focus on the mother bear. And again, I'm just putting this down as a little base to get rid of all that stark white so we can have more fun adding the layers of color that we've been talking about. So I'm going to go over to this leg. And again, this is just a pale gray. If you didn't have gray, you could use a really, really pale tan. But again, putting it down in a light coat, not a heavy coat. All right, so we want to create this feeling of shadow around the polar bear's neck and head. So we're going to bring that purple in, which makes a beautiful shadow color. And then we're going to bring that aqua blue in. Again, so instead of having this white bear, you'd be surprised, we're actually making it more of a warm and cool colored bear, using lots of warm and cool colors, blues, yellows, some greens. And we're just going to come down lightly over here. Not quite as strong. And we're going to bring that green in again, adding some more texture as we go. Texture of that fur on the bear. I'm going to put a little more texture, even coming out of his skin here along the edge. When you use line like this, you can create a feeling of texture, and that's what we're after right here. I'm going to go back to the aqua again, shade some of that in, and also down here we're going to bring the aqua in. Don't worry, they will look like polar bears when we're done. No need to worry about that. Now we're actually going to go back now, and we're going to put that yellow that we saw on the face onto the leg now. So we're just going to again start with a light coat, and then we're going to build it up. So I'll pull this up here so you can see. This is like a yellow, a goldenrod yellow. They call this dark chrome yellow, okay? And then we're going to bring in some of that warm mossy green that we were using earlier. And again, we're kind of suggesting a little bit of the furriness with this. So we're going to add some fur to his legs. Like this. Now we're going to bring in that other yellow. that was a little warmer and use that to add a little bit more depth. Now I'm literally just drawing lines in that are going up and down vertically. I'm going to put a few more of these green ones in, coming over here. Sometimes you want to put some in there a little darker. Now, we're going to come in here and we're going to actually start the bear's face, the baby bear. So again, we're going to put that gray in here. And a little gray on the legs, again, just to break up all that white. A little gray on the ears. Alrighty, so let's start with a little bit of the golden yellow again. That one I've been using all along right here. And we're just going to, again, same thing we did over here. We tried to give it that fur texture. We're going to do that here, lightly, going all the way around the polar bear's face. Now we're going to bring in some light blue, the aqua blue. So again, we want that baby to look very similar to the mother in that regard. We're going to bring in some gray, a little heavier, again calming down all that white. Let's pop out the eyes again, give it a little contrast, and get that nose shaded in. And the nose itself is going to be a little bit in the grays. And then we're actually going to have some fun bringing a little bit of a, almost like a blush to the side of the bear's face. And we'll bring in some more yellows, particularly around the nose. Some more blue. Don't forget those ears. And let's bring in the darker blue to give it, again, a little shadowy feel. And then over here, we're going to also give it kind of a shadowy feel in these areas because that is in shadow against the mother. So the baby is sort of safely snugged in near the mother's body. Feeling very cozy. Yeah, let's see. Let's get a little bit of that darker blue in there again. And we're just going to bring a little bit of it in here to start the legs. A little bit of that green again. So we're bringing warm and cool colors into the polar bear, even though you might think, oh, gee, I don't understand. polar bears aren't that color. But polar bears, I would argue, have quite a bit of color in them when you look at them in the sunlight. You can actually see quite a bit of color. Now the baby is safely tucked inside the mother, so also that's an indication that the baby's going to be a little bit in shadow. So that's why we're also giving it that shadowy quality with the way we're shading it with blues and greens. Now let's go back over to the mother's leg here, and we're going to once again bring that pretty golden yellow in here. Now I know I make this look really easy and I'm going really fast, but you can always slow down the video, pause it, rewind it. You don't have to go at the same pace I'm going. That's definitely not necessary and not expected either. I want you to go at your own pace, but when I make a video, I tend to work faster because I'm very aware of the time people want to be spending looking at the video. They don't want to spend the whole day trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing over here. So I'm going to put some lines in the body with the same colors, greens and browns. And look how beautiful they're looking as a pair here. I think they're really looking great with all this color. I'll come over here and add some brownish colors inside the leg here. Some more brownish colors over here. And maybe even a few over here to really help the eyes stand out. Like this. Okay, and then we're going to have blue. I'm going to calm this down so it's not such an abrupt change. Some little blues. And that's pretty good. Now I think we can go in and add some black claws onto the polar bear's toes here. So I'm just coloring them in with my black color pencil. Okay, when we come back, we're going to start tackling the background, which I think will be really a lot of fun. So slow the video down, review any sections you might want to review, and I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. Now we're ready to start tackling the beautiful snow behind the bears. So we're going to stick with this blue theme, and I'm going to just lightly give a light blue cast to my mountains, like this. So the bears are actually going to blend in a little bit, aren't they? With that light blue that we're putting in the mountain shapes. And, you know, maybe we'll put a little more darkness near the bear's body. To show that it's sort of, you know, a little bit in shadow right there, but we're going to make it lighter. We don't need to go too heavy duty there. So I'm keeping this very light, using the side of my pencil to shade, so I have some control over what I'm putting down. And yes, I'm going to take that other blue I had a moment ago. I'm just going to, again, just add a little shadowiness coming off the bear. Like that. And a little shadowiness coming off the bear. over here. All right, so we have another, maybe I'll take this blue-green for the more distant mountains, because remember there's overlapping going on here. These bigger mountains are in front of the ones behind them. So I'm just gonna block those in with a slightly darker blue. So that they kind of get that feeling of depth that we're looking for. And maybe I'll take a little bit of that purple, and again, just to bring out the depth of the more distant mountains here. I'm going to use a little bit of gray, I think, to show off the little peaks, the mountain peaks. So I'm going to get my gray, put a little bit of gray here, and gray here, here, and here. And then I'm thinking that I might want to do something really different for the sky. Rather than have a blue sky, I'm going to put a pink tone in the sky with a little bit of lavender and yellow. I'm going to put a base coat of this pink down, but I don't want it to get caught up with too much blue, because I think that makes it not so much fun. And then I will go in with my purple and build it up a bit. Put a little more purple, but I want that pink in there too, so I don't want to make it too dark, because that pink is a nice contrast, isn't it, to all the blues? And then I'm going to have a gold and yellow sun. So it gives a little bit of a nighttime feel with all that purple in the background here. Get a little bit darker near the mountains here. Okay, I'm going to get that gold and yellow. Oh, that's a nice contrast, isn't it, against the purple? And then we just really have this light blue that we could do on the bottom here. So again, another pale blue, just to kind of very lightly, maybe a little more shadow where the feet are, but just a little bit of a pale blue to show where they are on this ice, so that you end up with a really nice drawing. Again, putting a little shadow near the feet. They're sitting on some ice here, so we want to indicate that. Just like that. We can also bring, some of the other colors we were using in the polar bears. We could bring a couple bits of, green, maybe here. Who says mountains have to be white or brown or anything like that? You can make them any color you want and then balance it out accordingly. And I think I'm going to take a little bit more of the blue and just sort of lighten this out a little bit. So I love the idea of layering color pencils. The more layering, the better, I think. And then I think I might just take some blue over here. Like that. A little more blue in here to really emphasize, again, the darkness, the furriness of the bear. We really want to get that sense that this is a polar bear that has a furry texture. So we're doing that. And I think I'm going to come in here with just a little bit more blue and some more lines on the cub to, again, just suggest that furry kind of mane that he's wearing. And there you go. I think right now we have a lovely bear themed drawing that's perfect for winter. It's a lot of fun to create. You can continue working on it on your own, or you can pause the video, back it up. I'm just adding a little bit more blue over here. But basically I'm happy with that. Really fun winter themed drawing. So thank you for joining me today. This is Doris Venter, and I hope that I can see you again in a future drawing or art class. So in the meantime, stay safe and stay creative.